You're listening to an audio article by the Common Constitutionalist. Today's article is entitled, What Happened to Sean Penny Plan Hannity? Now this upsets me, but if we are to remain true to conservative ideals, we must be prepared to call out those who appear to have abandoned them. In early July 2011, U.S. Representative for Florida's 14th Congressional District, Cornelius Harvey McGillicuddy, cool name, better known as Connie Mack IV, introduced a government spending plan called the Mack Penny Plan. Mack served in Congress from 2004 through 2013. More precisely, Mack Penny was a plan to cut government spending. Unlike virtually all things in government, his plan was quite simple. For every dollar of proposed spending, the plan would take away 1 penny of spending. So instead of the government spending that dollar, they would receive 99 cents to spend. See? Simple. In August of that year, FreedomWorks wrote that, quote, the penny plan would require Congress to cut just 1 penny out of each dollar it spends every year for 6 years. These gradual cuts over the next 6 years will balance the federal budget, unquote. And if it were enacted, it would have, quote, capped overall spending at 18% of gross domestic product, or GDP, starting in fiscal year 2018. What a coincidence. Reduce overall federal spending by $7.5 trillion over the next 10 years. Would balance the federal budget by 2019 and end Washington's unprecedented spending spree, unquote. Now, sadly and quite obviously, this did not occur, which is why we've gone from a $14.4 trillion debt in 2011 to eclipsing $20 trillion today. That's almost $1 trillion of debt added every single year. Now, one man more than any who spearheaded the plan was Fox's Sean Hannity. In December of 2013, Sean Hannity on his radio show asked what conservatives would like to see, because the current spending plan, quote, doesn't work for me. This to me is just watered down, what the Democrats offer. Now, the country voted the president, Obama, in power. Yeah, you can make that argument. But that doesn't prevent the Republicans in the House that have the majority. Mr. Speaker, that was John Boehner at the time, I am talking to you from leading and having a vision, a solution-oriented agenda, and telling the country that there is an entirely different way to go about things, unquote. He was speaking of a spending plan offered by the Republican-controlled House on Tuesday, December 10, 2013. He then introduced or reintroduced the Mack Penny Plan on the air and cited this example. Quote, if you have a budget at home and you're spending more money than you take in and you're literally on the verge of bankruptcy in your own personal life, and some accountant comes in and says, here's what we need to do. You need to cut 1 penny of spending out of every dollar you spend, cut back here, 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 everywhere. Then we can get you to a balanced budget. Cut up your credit cards, do whatever you have to do, but you can't keep spending the way you're spending without going into bankruptcy court. And you say, okay, I can do that, unquote. Sean added that, quote, this is an opportunity for Republicans to differentiate themselves from big spending liberal Democrats that are bankrupting this country, unquote. This was the clear-thinking fiscal conservative we knew Hannity to be. During the presidential campaign, Hannity interviewed Donald Trump. It was March 7, 2016, where he spoke to Trump about the penny plan, saying, quote, and I think I'm pulling you in on the penny plan, at least in areas outside the military, unquote. Trump agreed, responding, quote, yes, well, I like the concept of the penny plan, not for the military because the military will have to build up, but we can save probably in many cases more than a penny if you look at it. I mean, the penny plan is a pretty good plan, and it's a pretty simple plan, unquote. Now leap forward post-election. On March 16, 2017, Hannity tweeted, quote, President Trump unveiled his budget keeping key promises like building a border wall and slashing government spending. That's tonight's monologue, unquote. Now this time there is no longer any mention of his preferred penny plan, but at least Sean was still on board the slashing government spending train. Unfortunately, that was about all she wrote of Hannity's fiscally conservative talk. He appears today to have cast off any pretense of being a government spending hawk, as he posted on his website, quote, "Done deal. President Trump signs historic 2-year budget agreement," unquote. Adding that, quote, just hours after the House of Representatives passed a historic $400 billion budget agreement, in the early hours Friday morning, President Trump signed the bill into law, funding the federal government for an additional 2 years and averting a second Schumer shutdown, unquote. And he's even using Trumpisms like Schumer shutdown. A few days ago, Hannity even described the historic 2-year pork-laden waste of taxpayer money, quote, a budget victory, unquote. For years, we've all complained about the Democrat stenographers who pretend to be the mainstream press. But now it seems the president has his very own in Sean Hannity, and it saddens me to even report it. Thank you for listening.